This episode brought to you by Jay's Pack, Sex Caliber Bones a Lot, James, Sunzi, Steph Nugs, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Boezy, Jeremy, Allie, Nathan, Jennifer with a PH, Mr. Ragebomb, Libby, Wes, Dreskel, Aaron, Kristen, Tia, Lauren, Jonathan, Kate, Isaac, and Karoon, and all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, just go to the woods, and we'll be there in our Facebook group or whatever.
I don't know that we want to be the ones that are already in the woods. You know?
I don't want to be in the woods.
I, after watching this movie, will never return to the woods.
I've got a secret I've held from you all this whole time.
What?
You guys are all like, both been to Ireland and all that crap. Guess who's whitewater rafted on the Chatude River? Where they filmed Deliverance. It's me, bitch. It's White Trash Month, and I'm here.
Because Mikey does the rafting thing, and Mikey does the rafting thing. He goes down rivers and the streams. He goes, yeah, okay, great, awesome, wonderful. Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like watching scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, Mikey made us watch Deliverance.
Usually, Paige and I collaborate very closely on movie picks.
Sure.
That is true. You guys do have a healthy back and forth.
But I went real hard at Redneck Rampage, Southern Slayers, Bayou Bastards kind of month here. And
you really wanted to do it. You were so passionate. I was like, I'm going to let Mikey have this. Let's go.
So Deliverance, I've never seen.
Me either.
You've never seen this? Okay.
I've never seen it. I know it's an Academy Award-winning film
What?
that many people loved at the time.
Of course.
Yes.
And it was the 70s, man.
Well-
the bar was very low in the 70s for a solid movie.
I mean, the first movie that does something may not do it as well as people who've refined on that thing.
Absolutely.
A few times.
Yeah.
But I know a lot about the movie because I have whitewater rafted in the river.
Right. So you have on location experience.
Yes.
This one goes out to Sam. He was my friend in the dorm in college. He worked as a guide on this river.
Oh my God.
So he had all the stories. There was no stuntman really involved in this whole film. The actors did all their own stunts.
You can tell too, man. And I mean that it's really impressive, honestly.
What are we doing next week?
You chose. It's your month.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing next week, Mikey.
But the third movie we're going to do is Southern Comfort.
Okay.
Which is a personal favorite of mine because of how, kind of like this movie. I like Southern Comfort better than Deliverance, but it's it's in a bayou, in boats, same kind of concept, and it is better.
Well, I feel like this movie is kind of like Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, in that it gives us the playbook for all other movies like this that come after it, which some improve, some don't. Every Lost in the Woods movie owes a little bit to this movie.
This is just River, The Hills Have Eyes. Whereas that's the desert version of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is very much like I don't want to say slasher, but it's like that style of horror film.
Yeah.
Whatever you would classify The Hills Has Eyes as.
But The Hills Have Eyes is out west, and this is really a southern thing.
No, I
this
know,
is hillbilly hell, the experience.
You sound like you're like a haunted house barker out front, like a hillbilly
Don't
horror
describe my dream
experience.
job, okay?
So you picked the movie. You had never seen it before. First thoughts on it, though, Mikey. What'd you think? Okay.
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
You could tell that a lot of movies had done this because they killed the guy after he raped their friend and he was being held at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the big conflict of the film from that point on is do we tell the sheriff? Do we try to escape?
Yeah.
I'm going to feel guilty about it and all this stuff. And I don't know if it's where we are as a society or what, but I was like, fuck those people. Kill as many of them as you want. Do whatever you want with their bodies. And I would not feel guilty at all. I'm not going to nosedive off the canoe because I feel guilty burying the dude that we killed. He raped our friend at gunpoint.
And was about to do it to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they would have definitely killed them.
Yes,
there's no way they were
yes.
going to let them live. If Burt Reynolds and the other guy hadn't come up, they were dead. They were absolutely dead. The only reason they're alive at all is timing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have killed every family in the holler and and it's fine.
And burn the woods for retribution.
Yeah, it's all going to be buried in water anyway, because I guess environmentalism is a theme as well, but I was like, that's a little overshadowed with the whole sexual assault / murdering each other kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I did not connect with the film because I did not find the conflict believable, which is I don't think a group of friends, even if they weren't that close, would give a fuck about people who tried to hurt them like that.
No.
Because
you know what you would do? Immediately when you kill that guy with the bow and arrow and the other dude fucks off and runs away, you run immediately back to the canoes and get as far away as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yes.
The fact that they hung out was insane to me.
I don't think we would have buried him. I've been like, let's get the hell out of here.
No.
You've been assaulted. We killed that guy. Leave the body how it is. This is a believable story. We have 4 witnesses.
Yes.
They had a shotgun, and like we would have just got to get off the river. And most of the locals were not against them from the film, because like the guys did move their truck and did take the $40 and did what they were supposed to. The other locals fed them and helped them. This group probably has records, I would assume.
Yeah.
And like, I think everything would have been fine. That whole big conflict didn't resonate with me
either.
Which I feel like hurt my experience of the film. Like it did a really good job building it up of like, oh, something really bad is going to happen on this rafting trip. And like, I thought Burt Reynolds was going to have a bigger play in it, but like, he really didn't.
He was just there looking sexy without a shirt.
Yeah, but like towards the end, he gets that like chicken cutlet stuck in the pocket on his yoga pants. So like it takes him out for the rest of the movie.
Don't touch it. It's my pocket chicken.
Paige, you know I'm right. That is what it looks like.
That's why.
Well, and then they're like, he was shot by a shotgun. And I was like, did I?
Mikey,
I went back and watched it.
I know. I did the same thing.
I just saw them all fall out of their boats. And I was like, what happened? And they're like, we were shot at. And I was like,
I didn't hear no gunshots.
Yeah, were we?
No one shoots at them. That guy, I forget his name, the guitar player guy, just kills himself. Like,
oh,
yes.
Yeah, he dives off.
Which is the note that I originally took in my notes. I was like, oh, he clearly has a death with, oh, there he goes, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they were like, somebody shot him. And I was like, what?
And he acted so well where he's like, I feel guilt. And like, I was like, man, he's doing a good job acting. I just really don't think anyone would feel that way after that happened to their friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't feel like any of the 3 of us would feel that way.
Yeah, I'd be like,
that's fair.
All right,
yeah,
leave the body. Let's get the fuck out of
we
here.
are not notoriously good people, so
Yeah, we're not notoriously compassionate people.
But Mikey, I understand the point you're trying to make, and I think the way you fix that is John Voight is hunting that deer when we see his handshake, and it happens again later, and he's trying to hunt a deer, and he shoots someone behind the deer he did not see. And then that person is not involved with sexually or raping someone in their group. That would make more sense, right?
A lot of movies go that way modernly.
Right. And that would precipitate them needing to kill the other people to save themselves, and then the breakdown of that guilt. Like the first one, they feel guilty, and then so on and so forth. Because the last guy they kill is completely innocent.
Well, is he?
I don't think
is he
so.
the tooth guy?
He's not the tooth guy. That's why he says no, and he pulls his...
He had dentures. He had dentures in.
Yeah, but he pulls his teeth down.
It's the guy, because he's like, he had his dentures. Also, that guy did pull a gun on him first and then try to shoot him before
he does try to shoot him. So, like, maybe he's related or something.
That's why I said, I've been like, I would have killed every redneck in my way until I made it out. And I would just been like, look, Sheriff, I can afford a lawyer, so I don't know what you're going to do. But, like, that guy tried to shoot me with his shotgun, and I shot him. So, whatever the...
Well, here's my thinking why they felt the need to lie to the sheriff. I wouldn't trust that I would live through whatever holding cell they would put me in. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I do think the footage and the scenes in town where like moving buildings and digging up graves and all that stuff is super creepy.
It is.
And I think a modern movie talking about we're going to flood this whole town and there's a conflict going on right before they're going to flood it would be a very creepy premise. I just don't think this conflict worked for me. Well, because like John Voight climbing on top of that cliff to kill that guy who was waiting to kill them. That's like his big internal conflict. And I was just like, kill that motherfucker.
I know. I'm laughing because, of course, you kill the person who's trying to kill you.
Right.
You don't feel excited to be able to do that, but like it's self-preservation. Like I get that. Also, he climbs up this whole fucking like mountain face, is hanging off of it, has not yet climbed onto the top of it, and pulls out his wallet to look at his wife and his kid. Did you guys see that?
What? And then drops it, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna die on this mountain." I was like, "Way to give away your position,
I know,
asshole."
And also, like, you're hanging off a mountain.
Look, John Voight was a weak little baby bitch. And I don't know if that's like a thing to say or what, but like those people are trying to kill you. So they're either going to kill you or you're going to kill them. And that's at the end of the day, that sucks. But that's a reality. And of course, he wants to like look at his wife's face before he murders somebody. I don't know what his deal was.
I think he thought he was going to die and was like, one last look before I die. And I'm like, this look is going to cost you.
I know. That look is going to make you die, you idiot. Anyway, I had the same problems with this movie that I have with almost every 70s movie.
Pacing.
And I knew I was going to have that problem during the opening credits.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I do sort of think the story is creepy and scary. Like, it's not scary. It is just so much of nothing. Like, I get you're on the river, and I get that we're going to see a bunch of shots of that. And a lot of those shots are really cool, but a lot of it you don't need.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. That's kind of how I felt going into this, where they clearly did it all practically, which is high
cool.
fucking
Yes,
marks.
I don't care that like literally 98% of this movie is ADR'd. Like it's voiceover, you know? Like
Right.
I don't care. I'm on board that would have been impossible in the 70s to capture some of that, right?
Yeah, well, and for me, I was just like, it looks very cool, but
Yeah.
it means that all your shots are pulled back. You have very little close-ups. It's very hard to hear the dialogue. It's very hard to distinguish between who is who.
Yes, Paige, the first close-up I had to pause because it was 6 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
I was like, why haven't we seen anyone's face yet? And the first time you get a close-up on someone's face is...
Burt Reynolds, I think.
I think it's 6 minutes into the movie. Everyone else is at least cowboying up or further away, which is like shins up.
But this movie was fucking huge back when it came out.
We will talk about that, baby.
Here's the thing. I understand because I don't think people had seen many things like this visually, because like to do what they did practically is almost impossible, and even today would be very difficult.
Oh yeah.
And they even had to do a bunch of post-production because it looked too pretty. Like the landscape was too pretty, but those shots are gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it is this very dark story against this gorgeous backdrop. And they just spend too much time on that gorgeous backdrop, where this movie is 150 minutes long, or not 150. It's
an hour and 49 minutes. Yeah.
hour and 49 minutes. It could easily be an hour 20.
Oh,
yes.
Max.
This would be a very tight 90-minute movie.
100.
Yeah.
And I was just telling my mom I was at my parents' house this weekend, and I was like, at this point, for the amount of movies I have seen, you better fucking justify why your movie is like over 90 minutes. There better be a fucking reason. And here's the thing. If you're Jordan Peele and your story is whatever, I get it. You deserve the extra time. I give it to you. But there should be no rom-coms over 90 minutes.
No, there should not be. No.
Like, as a rule.
Yeah, that is our other podcast, Romancing the Pod. But
Sure.
I do agree with you saying this movie should be 90 minutes. Like, it should be 80, 90 minutes long. And it would be way better, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because, like, the scene is very creepy. Like,
and it goes on for so long.
And they just don't really cut. Like, they do cut in the scene from shot to shot.
Yeah,
but it's
brutal.
like a lot of long shots, which feel very eerie to me. Like it's really effectively done.
And I will tell you, rafting this river. So the way we did it, Sam, I'm gonna do this. Is my Ireland. Let me fucking have this. It's the most dangerous thing I've ever done outdoors. Like, because my friend Sam in college, he took us, and it was like usually they go with like groups, like a bunch of rafts and like guidelines and kayaks. He's like, no, I'll just take you guys myself. It'll be free. So we were in like a 6-person raft. just us on the river by ourselves. It took all day. It was the rapids were very dangerous. He was like, and at the part where he's like, most people have died right here. Do not fall out right here because there's a drainer. And if you want to fall out, this is the worst part of the river to fall out. He immediately falls out as soon as we start hitting that rapid. He's hanging onto his life in the back. I'm freaked out in the back. And like, it was an intense experience.
Did everyone make it out alive?
Yeah.
I mean, because last we heard your tour guide was like hanging on for his life.
We made it through that rapid. I like lifted them all into the boat when we got it. And
nice.
But it took us probably 10, 11 hours to do the whole, like we were out there for a long time. We didn't get back till way after dark.
That sounds terrible.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I was watching this movie, because I've canoed and kayaked, I have not enjoyed either. You would be hard pressed to get me on this trip in general.
I'd probably do this trip.
No.
I mean, Mikey and I have been canoeing and kayaking together.
Have fun. No thanks.
Oh, I love rapids.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
super fun.
Yeah, so I probably would do this. I wouldn't fuck with no locals though, for reasons.
Well, I will say that in modern day, the real estate around rivers such as this has much improved in value where there are not a ton of locals like that anymore.
No.
It's like most of them got rich.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Because after seeing these rapids and having been in a canoe and shit, I was like, I feel like this is more of a rafting river. I don't know why we're trying to put canoes down it. This seems counterintuitive, and maybe I'm wrong.
No, Paige, I had that same thought. I was like, maybe raft technology had not reached the 70s. Like, I don't know.
They still had wooden paddles back then. I was like, I don't know what it was like in the 70s.
It looks very terrible.
But also, I would be that friend that was like tricked to go where like he didn't tell me the real. I'd have been like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this.
I would be livid if I got tricked into going on this trip with someone I didn't know, and that person turned out to be someone who thinks they're Rambo.
Yeah.
I would be livid if Lewis was on my trip.
Here's the other thing. And as someone who is, I'll call it indoorsy, you would be hard pressed to talk me into this trip full stop, regardless of who was going. And then when you were like, oh no, we'll have the locals drive our cars down, I'd be like, well, I'm getting out now.
Yeah, I'll
like,
drive the cars down if you like.
hard pass. I'll meet you guys down there. Yeah.
I've got 3 books. See you in 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, exact. I'm going to book myself a little hotel, a B&B, and just chill out because no, hard pass. This is like the people who are like, no, it's an easy hike. Fuck you. it's you said hike and now I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, no thanks.
I had trouble looking at anything on the screen that wasn't John Voight's mustache, because his mustache, it doesn't connect in the middle.
Yeah, it's not even. It's real fucked up.
It's like his upper lip has eyelashes. It was very strange.
Yeah, it kind of looked like the top of your feet.
All right, you know what? Accurate, but hurtful. All right?
Yeah, they had wooden paddles, but if we were on this trip, it'd be Todd's feet.
Todd's feet look like Paige and I murdered them on a river, and we buried them in the water for 4 days.
Instead of the hand coming up at the end of this movie, it's my
It's just
foot.
Todd's foot.
I was like, I don't know how he thinks that hand is going to come up because Drew's arm was fully just like behind his head.
For what? I don't know why, but I thought that was the guy they buried. I thought that was supposed to be his hand.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, it's not anybody's hand. It's a dream. So, like, that's why it made me think it was the guy they buried.
Well, the whole thing, I was just like, he feels guilty. I would have been like, whatever, fuck him.
Not only would I not go on this trip, even if I did, let's say the planets align and I end up on this trip, I will fully kill someone with a shovel. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, no, you sexually assaulted a person in our group, you're all dead. You're all dead.
I had this whole headcanon of like the guy who dies of suicide of like, well, he must have been going through a lot.
Oh, yes. I had the same thought. I was like, that guy is at the end of a very sad movie that we only got the last 10 minutes of.
He's like, if things don't get better with this trip, then something really bad's going to happen, and something just really bad happened.
He's like, God, I need you to send me a sign that my life is going to turn around. And then this happens a day later. And he's
Something,
like, oh,
yeah.
it's
I
over.
just don't think they laid out a morally gray enough argument for me. And
didn't.
I've said that 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this guy takes it like, he's like, we murdered babies. And that's how he acts the rest of the film. And I was like, no, bro, that guy was like gonna kill y'all. And like he was obviously going to kill y'all.
Yeah, he was absolutely gonna kill y'all. Here's the thing. I would have been the person that when Burt Reynolds is like, no, we clearly bury it and then run. I was like, damn straight, Burt Reynolds, we don't need to vote. Like, listen to the man in the vest.
Yeah.
I do want to get me a sleeveless wetsuit. I think I would look fucking baller in that now.
Right?
Mikey, I will buy you one for Christmas.
Thank you.
The wetsuit was cool, but then all the life vests looked like Zardoz. Like,
No, they look like vests that I would wear in 2004. And that's like not what I like, a puffy vest, you know?
yeah. Old Navy, yes.
I've got my Old Navy Lands End vest.
The kind where you're like, it looks kind of like what Jedis wear or people in Star Wars wear in Tatooine.
Well, maybe we should get to this movie so we can break down the worst church canoe trip ever.
Like, really?
One of mine was a church trip and I didn't like it.
I don't know. I think there's probably worse church canoe trips.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least they murdered the sexual assaulters, you know?
Yeah, you know.
Oh.
Before we get into it, the part of canoeing and kayaking that I hate the most is being wet and hot at the same time.
Okay.
So wait, Paige, you think it's bad when you're hot and wet at the same time?
In this context, yes. Because like also there's like bugs and shit and I hate bugs and just outside in general.
Ooh.
But it's the feeling of wet clothes that are not drying on you and being hot.
Yeah.
So it's like chafe nightmare and it's not enough fun for me to endure that.
Okay. I love being wet and hot. Let's talk about it.
Nope.
And I love kayaking. I wear my compression shorts.
He does.
Then a pair of trunks.
Yep.
And I've got those long sleeve, like dry wick, like beach shirts that I wear. I love I've always loved There's a lot of kayaking around Nashville.
There is. Yeah.
I used to have I have my own kayak. I used to have my own kayak. I want to get another kayak again.
Wait, you have one, you used to have one, and you will buy one in the future is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the holy trinity of kayaks.
This episode brought to you by Big Kayak. Mikey, officially endorsed by every big kayak brand.
Well, I'm just saying, how else can you say I own a boat and only spend $200?
How else can you say I'm 30 and single, ladies, without owning a kayak?
Now, ocean kayaking is very nice, but rivers, no, you can keep them.
I like rivers.
They're gross.
I like tributaries too. I mean, I'm just going to start including all of them. Yeah. Lakes.
It's also why I don't swim in lakes.
What you need, Paige, is a good estuary.
Look, guys, we're really close to the environment just shitting the shit. And then we're going to have an indoor dome where it's like you can kayak 6 miles in the dome and there'll be no snakes and no mosquitoes. And I'd be so fucking down with that.
Love it. I'm on board for that.
Yeah. You heard it here. We are pro global warming. Destroy the environment. So we
They buried a perfectly good meal out in those woods. All right, let's talk about this movie.
You got to eat what you hunt. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Be responsible. Use every part of the animal.
Todd hates us today.
I don't love the cannibalism stuff. No, I'm not a huge fan of cannibalism as a concept. Would I do it? Sure, in a pinch.
Is it because you don't like food or?
My problem with cannibalism is exactly the same as I have with any kind of food. It's just too filling.
He only wants 2 slices of the murderer.
Yeah, he's like, I ate both piggies that went to the market and I'm full. I've got some good calf muscles.
What are we talking about? Can we get into this episode, please? This is what we get for starting to record at 10 o'clock at night.
Do you like how I was like, don't start till late? I want weird late night energy for this.
I do too.
I don't know what you were doing, but I think Mikey planned a busy day so we could have this conversation from 10 to midnight.
If I told you about my day, I would sound like a very prestigious, successful businessman. I had a press junket and then a board meeting. I know. I wore a jacket.
I know. You showed up to recording still wearing it.
Well,
are we going to talk about this damn movie or not?
Yeah, we open on the credits where people just talk and you don't have no context and then you don't know who's saying what. And I love it.
I hated these credits so much, Mikey. I could not stand it.
Allow me to sum up the very long credits with no context.
Please.
The river that they are about to canoe on is going to be dammed up. And so this is kind of the last chance for them to travel down the river as is before that happens. Now, they are not normally canoers. Burt Reynolds is the only one who speaks in weird poems through the entire film and is trying to convince them all to go because manliness.
And because he wants to play the game.
The game.
What is the game? I never really figured that out.
Oh, you both just lost the game. And everyone listening.
His game is survival. Like wholesale survival.
Yeah. Store brand Rambo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He is like the guy who saw Rambo and then thought he was Rambo.
Yeah.
He is not as cool as Rambo fucking slaps. I don't want to put out the impression that Burt Reynolds slaps in this movie. He does not.
He kind of slaps. He could slap some cheeks, you know what I'm saying?
He is hot, I'll give you that. And he is over the top insane. Like, I think he does a great job acting in this movie.
Crazy.
But his character would drive me insane.
To put this into context, his character has gone camping 5 times, and the rest of these people have never been camping, and that's the difference.
He is still paying off his REI credit card. You know what I'm saying?
I think this is before, like the 70s was like truly like just gather your shit and go out
hit
into
the
the
army
woods. They didn't
surplus
have
store.
like North Face. Yeah, they didn't have all that stuff.
Yeah, and he is more skilled than them, but he is not like Bear Grylls or the people on Alone.
No. I mean, this movie is just honest city slickers. Like,
they both won Academy Awards. That is a fair comparison.
Thank you.
This didn't win, by the way. It was nominated, but it did not win.
Oh.
Well, it got more than it deserved.
This is based on a book, and a big theme in the book is that these are city slickers trying to escape the stress of everyday life and believing that the woods are this kind of perfect, calming place, and not realizing that A, people live there, and B, they might be murderous.
Yeah.
When really the perfect calming place is a $150 12-foot pool that you can get from Lowe's delivered to your house and set up in your backyard as an above-ground oasis.
Is this legit a Lowe's
This
ad?
is an
right
ad
now?
for the
Did we just
Redneck
transition
Riviera
into a Lowe's
in
ad?
Mikey's backyard.
Yeah, brother.
I still want to do a bonus episode from that pool.
You're invited.
Mikey's just back there every Saturday, just like wasting away in my backyard pool.
Every Saturday, I'm like, it's 3 o'clock somewhere.
Mike, are you working from home and you got the laptop on a floaty?
You have a work shirt that is completely soaked, but you're like clearly in a pool, but it's still like
With
a
the
button down.
jacket?
Like,
It's hot out
oh
today.
man, it's really my AC's busted or something. That's why I'm sweating so much in this pool. In this
not a
office.
pool.
Not pool.
Indoor office.
Home office.
Have you gotten the floating tray yet?
I've got 3 cup holders attached to the sides.
Okay, you got to get the floating tray so you can have pool charcuterie.
Oh, you got to be careful with the shark in the pool.
I do have a projector for movies and stuff. So I think one night I'm gonna set up the projector and float in the pool and watch movies.
Mikey, I want to come to that. We can lay out and watch the movie, and then we can look up at the stars and hold hands and talk about how
If
we're
you
best
guys
friends.
are wondering what people who are middle-aged do without kids, this is, I guess, it.
I think so.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I stayed out in my Redneck Riviera for 9.5 hours last Saturday. As you guys know, I put an audiobook in my ears. I had beers. And I just I got very burned.
That does sound very nice. But is your stomach
great.
still really, really badly burned?
My lotion works. It's
Okay.
not burnt. No peelage.
Oh, nice. Wait, what kind of lotion is this? Because I'm a very pale lady.
It's a Neutrogena Sun Rescue.
Neutrogena or Neutrogena?
No, Neutrogena.
Okay.
Is that how you say it?
Yes. But you have said Neutrogena now twice in trying to tell us about this. And now I'm confused. I'm like, is he buying some off-brand thing that I'm going to have to like go on a weird website to find?
It's the Kirkland brand.
I don't say brand names right unless they pay for ads on this podcast.
Okay, so Blue
You hear that,
Trajima.
Pepsi? Yeah.
Anyway, back down to this movie, because that's why we're here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. So opening credits. They're all back.
We got through the opening credits.
Okay.
They show up in 2 cars to what looks like a rundown cabin, but will turn out to be a gas station.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, hey, I think we're lost. And Burt Reynolds is like, we're not lost, and I'm not asking for directions. I have a giant penis. Like that kind of thing.
Burt Reynolds, though, does probably have a giant
Probably.
penis. Well, he's dead. Is he dead?
He is dead.
Yeah, his penis strangled him. You guys didn't hear about that?
He tripped on it.
He tripped.
He's a fall risk in his old age because of his giant dick.
Yeah, when the tripod gives out, you break a lot of noses. You know what I'm saying?
He had to like zip tie it to his leg.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's the chicken cutlet that was hanging out of his pants at the
It
end
was
of
just
this
one
movie.
ball.
And I wonder why my personal friends and family don't listen to our podcast.
I don't wonder why. They don't love you like I love you, Mikey. That's why.
We're the only ones that love you. Join us.
And one of their friends has a guitar because, there's always that douchebag who brings a guitar
Yeah, he's
on a
the
trip.
guitar guy at the party.
His name is Todd.
I don't play guitar. I can't.
I know.
The only
His name
song
is Chris.
Yes, his name is Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least for our friend group, for sure. Yeah.
I don't have one of these in my friend group. I just have comics that will tell you stories that then they will later tell on stage. So that's our version of it.
Because comics don't know how to relate to people.
Truth. This dude pops out of a car being like, maybe you're gonna be the ones that me.
Pretty much. Okay.
Oh,
how annoyed
God.
would you really
Bleep
be?
it.
Well, I mean, it does happen.
Yeah.
But how annoyed would you really be if, we're on a road trip?
Are you saying how annoyed would you be if someone on your trip had the guitar and is just like blackbird singing in the dead of night?
Yeah. We stop for gas and they get out and play in the parking lot. I'd be like,
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
it's almost
I've
would be
come
like,
to play guitar again.
yeah, that would almost be as annoying as podcast co-hosts who sing every chance they get while you're trying to record episodes.
And all I heard was Mikey bitching.
Michael rode his boat ashore.
Hallelujah. Now, controversial opinion, I love dueling banjos. I think it's the most fun part of this movie.
It is.
It was pretty fucking rad.
Yeah.
And I had heard about it and listened to it before, and I was like, this part holds up.
It did.
Oh,
and that kid looked weird as fuck.
Yes. That actor apparently was actually very friendly and really liked the guy playing guitar and was very excited as they were playing together. And so they have to cut away from him whenever he would smile.
Oh, that's so cute.
Just to burn a fun fact.
Yeah. Is he actually playing? It looks like he's
They're
actually playing.
Yeah, they're playing.
That's really impressive. I mean, I've seen people do this before, but
Yes.
it takes a good amount of skill to be able to pull off both of those things.
Oh, yeah. And pieces of movies have borrowed from this forever after this movie comes out.
Yeah.
This sets the standard. This is the same as in Cabin Fever when they meet Dennis, the karate child on the bench. And
I
this
love
is
the
that.
Karate Child.
But
Yes.
I feel like this is one of the better versions of it because, and this I think informs Drew's guilt a little bit later, misguided though it may be, because I think he feels like he bonds with this person during this event. And when he sees him on the bridge, he's kind of like, oh, hey, you know what? And what he doesn't realize is that no one wants to be friends with them. This was a momentary lapse.
Yeah.
But also, I got to introduce Armando to a crazy documentary the other day called The Wild, Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, which they do a lot of the step dancing that happens in this scene.
Yes.
And it just made me think of that again. And I feel like I might have to go watch it again.
Did y'all ever see Tickled?
Yes.
The documentary
I
about
did.
the people who are
Yeah.
sexually excited by tickling?
Yeah.
Of course I have, Michael.
Yeah. Where they're like, it's all funded by one man. And you're like, What?
Yeah,
Yes.
you should check out Tickled for sure.
I really liked an episode of My Strange Addiction that examined looners, which are people who are excited by balloons.
Do you know what crisis counselor has ever been on a episode of My Strange Addiction?
Have you been on an episode of My Strange Addiction?
Wait, have you? Really?
Which one? That show is very exploitative, but which one?
Nerds out there, go find it. Go find the
Find
show
it.
Mikey's on.
What is it?
I never signed the release, so they cut everything with the back of my head.
Oh,
What episode was it?
This could be a HIPAA violation.
they were addicted to hippos? Damn.
Oh, shit.
But I got to eat Twizzlers. I'm the guy at the end who takes me to the hospital.
I'm sorry.
Are you
I
really?
shouldn't laugh. It's so tragic. I shouldn't laugh. But I
Nerds
can't
out there,
stop.
you got to find this. You got to find this on TV.
Todd, you got to edit anything that could be identifiable to the specific episode.
Sure.
But someone's going to catch a silhouette and see you, Mikey. They're going to be like, damn, is that a vitamin water from the side?
Oh my god.
It's like the Alfred Hitchcock, but like way pointier.
All right, let's get back into this bullshit.
Yeah, to get back into this, so have either of you seen Wild Wonderful Whites of West Virginia?
Yes. Okay, listeners, we have to tell you that all of my family is from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived the wonderful, wild,
Whites of West
redneck,
Virginia.
white trash. I mean, my family, this generation, I mean, my brothers and I and my mother have really gotten away from a lot of that. I'm very proud of us, but like, I've got a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles where it's, you know, I'm not saying they would try to sexually assault people on canoe trips, but like, I would not be surprised if I was like, yeah, I guess that happened.
This is your family you're talking about.
100%.
Okay.
My cousins aren't nearly that interesting.
I think my cousin's out of jail now. So I think that,
Oh, hey.
Does that mean I should cut that out so he doesn't come talk to you?
he's not allowed to leave the state for like 6 more years. So I think I'm fine.
He's not allowed to listen to podcasts. So.
Yeah, no. See, Mike, if a story about my cousin would be like, she got a new guitar, I'd be like, oh, good for her.
A story about Mikey's cousin would be like, hey, they bought a new guitar.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you guys a Mikey family story.
Are you just going to shit on your family this episode?
Let's
I'm here
do
for
it. Late
Spill
night
the
energy.
tea, Mikey.
Let's go. I get a phone call from my mom and when they all lived in Mississippi still. And they're like, hey, underneath your cousin, he's like living with my grandmother who lives next door to my mom. It's a whole thing. It's a nice neighborhood, but we all live in the same neighborhood. It's a thing. So anyway, they call me and they're like, hey, underneath so-and-so's mattress, we found all these guns.
Okay.
And we think they're stolen. What do you think we need to do?
We've called My Strange Addiction because he can't
Stop
stop
stealing
buying the guns.
No, they're like, what do we do? We're just going to call his mom and have her take them. And I was like, no, you need to call the police because that's a felony. And if you do not report it, you're like aiding and
abetting. Yeah.
And man, that night ended in some drama. Let me tell you so much.
Well, yeah, because they stacked a bunch of mattresses and he couldn't feel any of the guns through them. And that's how they knew he was the new princess.
Yes, he was. Because of the pea shooter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what those guns were, guys. They were pea shooters.
I've got a lot of family stories. Like when we were burying my uncle, and then like they replaced all the pallbearers at the last minute with like his druggy friends, and then they almost dropped the coffin on the way to the graveside, and then they wanted to open it back up to take more pictures.
What?
And then the funeral director, who I liked because he'd obviously been around the block, was like, we leave that key back at the other place. And I was like, this man is smart.
Yeah.
Guys, I have a very big white trash Branson family. So this month is going to be very nice for me to talk about.
This month is really just a cathartic month for Mikey.
And Mikey, that'll be $125
Per episode.
$125, that was like a whole month of paycheck. So anyway, they get to the river.
Yeah, they get to the river. They get to the gas station, they play the dueling banjos, and they're like, hey, we need people to drive our cars to the end of the river so that when we raft down.
Well, when they dueling banjos, the gas station attendant does a really cool dance. And I think we need to talk about that.
That was why I brought up Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, because it's the same kind of shit.
That started that whole sidetrack for like 15 minutes. Yeah. That one was so long that Mikey forgot how we started it.
I always do.
I do like that they overlay, like they Foley in tap dancing sound effects when he's
Yes.
clearly not wearing tap shoes and tapping on dirt.
Yeah, he could be clogging, kind of.
But it's clearly a tap shoe sound. Clogs have more of a wooden sound and tap is more metallic.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I was like, some Foley guy's having a laugh because he knows the director's not going to notice.
My favorite version of that is in Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, we should do that movie.
We do need to eventually do that movie. I do love that movie. A guy sinks into the snow and starts tap dancing on
So
snow.
stupid. I love that movie. Oh my God.
Anyway, they can't drive for some reason because they have acute banjoitis.
Well, no, they can't drive because I think the only person who's actually like there is the gas station old man. Like the other kid that's there is like too young to drive. So I think he's like, go down to the house or whatever and ask for these two brothers.
They call them the Driver Brothers, and I think it's because they have a tow truck.
Okay.
So
they do.
the
Yeah, we
thinking
see it
being,
later. You're right.
two of them will drive, the tow truck will follow, and then the tow truck will come back and then leave the cars there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I was like, those cars are never getting there. Like, I did not believe that those cars would get, and I was like, who would get strangers to just like, here are the keys to our cars, nothing will ever be stolen. Like,
The 70s
that's
were
madness.
a wild, dumb time period. This is why serial killers were so prolific in the 70s.
Because it's literally the most violent decade on record. And now, granted, that's because that's when we started keeping records.
Right.
I understand
Sure.
that there's a little bit of, but what? What are we doing?
Yeah, that's a spectacularly dumb thing to ask someone to do.
Also, did you catch the price they gave him for filling up both cars?
Yeah, $4.99. Did you catch the price that they talk the brothers into driving their cars to the city?
Yeah.
It was $40 they settled on.
$40.
If you adjust that for inflation, that's like $300 today.
Which to me seemed more like normal.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense
a lot
to
of
me.
money.
Yeah.
But $4.99, I was like, I paid $5.40 a gallon the other day.
Well, I mean,
for
but
one car.
even $4.99 is $36. Like if you adjust for inflation,
Yeah.
that's $36 today. I mean, I'm not saying gas is not more expensive than it was in the 70s. It totally is.
No, I
But-
know. I was just like, for two cars, for less than I could fill up one car.
You couldn't even get a $5 footlong anymore for that.
Yeah.
If you had to make a choice, 99-cent gas for the rest of your life,
Okay.
but 1,000 random kids have cancer because of the environment,
Ooh.
or $5 gas, no kids that you know of you cause cancer for.
I'll still, I'll stick with the $5. I can live with $5 gas. It's fine. But I'll just make every kid high five me and thank me forever.
Fortunately, we had to amputate their hands because of cancer.
Damn it.
They had a very rare form of hand cancer. You know, that hand cancer that's going around in all these TikTok
Vaping.
crazes or whatever.
With your TikTok and your vapes.
TikTok? Is that what you said? You goddamn
That is what
lunatic.
he said.
I love you.
Your Neutrogena and your Tip Top.
Yeah. These damn exennials or whatever we call them.
Oh, God. Anyway, they drive to the Driver Brothers, where there seems to be another collection of questionable individuals around.
It honestly looks sort of like a homestead, and like a few people live there.
Yeah. But this is where they talk to one of the brothers and they offer him 30 and bargain to 40 to get them to drive the cars down to where the river ends.
Yeah.
And they all pile into a tow truck that has a lot of guns in it that you can kind of see through the windows.
Yeah. Well, the Driver brothers do. Everyone else,
Yes.
just gets in their car. And then Lewis like cuts off the locals who are driving the tow truck that we're going to just drive to the river with them because he wants to find the river like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I don't have time for machismo shit. Like, we got to move on. Like, Lewis, stop being an idiot.
Yeah, stop being an idiot. Get us to the river so we can get to that tent later.
Yes. Yes. I mean, there's no way Jon Voight and Burt Reynolds' characters in this movie have not slept with each other.
I don't blame either of them.
Oh, no.
In the middle of the night.
I be fucking Jon Voight.
Through the valley of fear. Anyway.
No, I also love that this group of friends is like one of those group of friends that like barely stands each other but still hangs out.
Yeah, what is that about?
It's about being a man where like your friends just stay your friends and you hate them.
The version of manhood that is put on display by Lewis in this movie is one that like needs to die, man.
Well,
No.
yeah, this is a very traditionally toxic man. I mean,
Yeah.
because Jon Voight was like, I actually kind of hate him. I do go camping just as much, but I don't have his whole thing.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like Jon Voight goes camping with him because he knows more camping stuff. And Jon Voight thinks that he doesn't know enough. But after this trip, he should understand that he does.
Yes.
But I don't know how you guys are with traveling with friends, but I have very specific people that I limit my travel with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't help but notice that I've never been invited to the beach with Mikey.
I can't invite you to the beach. You always catch COVID and shit. I don't want to put my family
I've
through
only
that.
ever once gotten COVID from you.
How many dead crabs have you found, Todd?
I don't know. I don't go to the dunes. Over.
Leave your COVID in the dunes.
Yeah. Maybe I don't want you to bring your girlfriend and make out in front of everybody on the beach. That sounds disgusting and terrible.
Yeah, there's children.
Yeah.
They gonna learn today.
Anyway, they make it to the river. They get into the canoes. And then they're basically whitewater rafting in canoes. They pass under a bridge where the banjo child is. But he looks at them as if he doesn't recognize them, which I thought was interesting. Because then I was like, is it a second
He's like,
banjo child? Or is he like, oh, they gonna die?
He might not be able to see all that great. He is sort of squinting, the sun's in his eyes. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed to me like he was just like, I think that looks like the guy who's playing. I can't tell. He's gone now. Okay, whatever. Have a good time, guys.
Yeah.
It made me think, I was like, did people not raft or kayak or canoe back then? Because it was like, the movie presents this as like, look at this. This is pretty crazy. These people are going to get onto this little boat and go down this river. And people are like, mind blown.
At one point, when they come out of the river for a second, they're like, this is how the explorers first explored this country. And I was like, yeah. And probably like every family of four, like last weekend as they were canoeing down the river. Like, what are we talking about?
But back then, where audiences like, holy shit, you can do this on rivers? Or
That
I was
boat's
like,
made of metal. How's it floating?
Right.
Well, that's the only canoe I've ever been in was metal.
Oh, yeah. A lot of them are.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't so much, what you talking about canoeing? I think it was more like, this river is very rough and there's a lot of rapids. I don't think that's wise. But I think no one can really articulate that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some people like their rapids rough, and I get it.
I like scary shit.
I get it.
Anyway, they make it to basically where their first campsite's going to be, at which point Burt Reynolds bow hunts a fish. Hell yes.
He bones too. He gets two of them. He gets their dinner, more or less.
He does, but while he's doing it, he's like, machines are going to fail and the system's going to fail. And I was like, look, you're pretty, but you don't need to talk.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm like, wow, things really haven't changed.
No, I mean, if this was today, he'd be like, there's going to be another QAnon drop, and we're going to figure out that JFK Jr. is still alive and doing 9/11s or whatever.
Yeah. doing
9/11s.
I don't know, man. It's always crazy shit like that. Like,
Yeah. Drinking that adrenochrome.
oh my God, yeah. Stupid people that want to feel smart are the scariest people I've ever met. Like,
You're welcome.
people who fall for that kind of shit is like, oh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Don't worry, y'all. There's going to be a second pandemic in 2 years.
Honestly, there probably will be. And now I'm ready for it because I have a house and I'm working on getting a garage fridge. No one will stop me this time.
Who stopped you from getting a garage fridge the first time?
You did, Todd.
We didn't have a garage because we were in an apartment.
Yeah, because of Todd.
So
and
Paige-
So yeah,
government.
because of Todd for
Because
some
of
reason.
big government and Todd.
It's more that just now I've started building my compound.
Yeah.
Nice.
The first thing I put on my compound is a pool.
My lawn is not quite wide enough to do that. I'm going to have to figure something out. I was looking more at hot tubs at the fair, although the fair's prices were not great. I think I'll go Costco instead.
I like that.
Your county fair sells hot tubs?
Do yours not?
Todd hasn't been in a while.
They sell full-on furniture and mattresses and shit.
Okay.
I eat a corn dog and throw up on a ride. I don't.
Yeah, no, I go to the fair. I don't ride the rides because I don't trust rides that can be assembled in a day. I go to see all the arts and crafts because ours has like whole buildings of like quilts and crochet, whatever. Yeah. And then to eat the craziest things I can find while I do that. And then we watch the pig races.
Aw.
Strawberry won this year.
She was delicious.
Yeah, Sourdough Jack came in second. That's who we were rooting for. But you know what? It's all good.
Nice pun, by the way. Rooting.
I was rooting for Purple Jack.
Purple Jack.
I can't do bread jokes, man. It's like my kryptonite.
No, I feel like you can't mouth word jokes tonight.
I'm so tired.
You're the one that demanded we record this late at night.
Shut up, Todd.
God damn it. People are not going to understand that you're like joking. Like Mikey is fucking around. Like
it's because they can't see my face.
I know.
All my AMA questions will be, what do you mean to Todd? I'll be like, have you seen him? You don't even know him. Like, I know him.
How could you be mean to Todd? He's so nice. I know Todd, so I know that what you just said is factually incorrect.
I'm glad Todd's nice to you on Twitters or whatever.
On Twitters.
Mikey is the youngest boomer I've ever met. And I think that's why I love him so much.
I'm so ready to just like walk down the street and be like, fuck you. And then like, you're just too old that people can't do anything about it, you know?
Is that a thing? Like you're looking forward to just walking in the street and cussing people out.
I age internally faster than the normal. Like, they're like, what do you do at night when you live alone? You have like your own house. I'm like, I sit on my porch, on my front porch.
Drink my mint julep.
Yeah.
Wear my hat made by dino DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I crochet sweaters. Do you want to see my new sweater that I'm working on?
Yeah. I have been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 16. It's the horniest of Final Fantasies. I'm into it.
Ooh, are the giant rectangular swords shaped like dicks?
No. No, it's not quite that horny.
Ah.
That's a beautiful sweater.
Thank you. It's very colorful.
Mikey would say the same if he wasn't scrolling on Instagram, high-fiving thirst traps with his thumb.
That's not my thumb.
So he catches their food and he gives John Voight the business of like, why do you even come on these trips then? You're not a mountain man. You're not here to play the game.
I mean, that is the incel-y kind of shit he says this entire movie, yes.
Except they do have inflatable mattresses, which is not very roughing it.
Just that one guy.
And he, I think, threatens to fuck it, question mark?
Hey, you know what?
Hey.
Times are tough.
Okay, so they like cook dinner and they're like talking.
Yeah, they cook dinner, they get ready for bed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And John Voight at this point is just like, it really is beautiful out here because he's super drunk. And I'm guessing that as soon as we cut away in this scene that he and Burt Reynolds made sweet, passionate love.
That's the way it seems to me.
That's how the middle of his mustache was rubbed off.
It's gotta be that, right? It's like a friction burn.
Like on Burt Reynolds' taint?
Look, I don't know. I wasn't in the 70s. I don't know how that works.
Me
I don't
either.
know how the mustaches work. Look, all I'm saying is I think this canoe trip included mustache rides.
Oh, I definitely think this canoe trip included some canoodling.
Yeah, canoodling. Nailed it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, Lewis doesn't drink, who is Burt Reynolds, because he has to stay alert for the game in the forest.
It's all about survival in the game. It's like having the worst friend.
I would say you could have way worse friends, but this is a type of bad friend.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, I get that you're good at camping. Stop making it my problem.
Yeah, like...
It's not even a game. They don't even have a sport on ESPN. I don't know what they're talking... Well, it's not Alone.
I was like, Alone is basically...
Yeah.
Naked and Afraid, I think, is their Olympics or whatever. And hey, would I watch young Burt Reynolds Naked and Afraid? Yes. Yeah, I would. And I'd be so mad that they blurred things. Like, hey, his whole bottom half is blurred. What's going on?
Someone get Paige the Burt Reynolds Playgirl magazine.
That comes up in Fun Facts. You're welcome.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Yes.
Love it.
Anyway, the other friends do kind of make fun of him as he goes to bed because he like goes out into the woods for a second. And he's like, I thought I heard something. And they're all like, he thinks he knows the woods, but he doesn't. Like, he thinks he's cool, but he's not. Like, that kind of thing. And then he comes back and he's like, I thought I heard something. Or someone. Anyway, going to bed, night.
Yeah,
Just
right?
like,
But this is the first time there's any indication that there's someone following them in the woods.
yeah.
We get confirmation of it later, so I definitely do think he actually hurt somebody.
I do think so too. Yeah. And I do think that I think the best version of this movie is The Ritual. And I think
Yes.
the 90-minute version of this movie, it doesn't have the supernatural elements, but it comes close to that creeping dread a little bit.
Yeah.
It's never going to be as scary as The Ritual. That movie's fucking terrifying.
We're going
but-
to watch Southern Comfort, which I think solves a lot of these problems, but it's still very early 80s.
Okay. Anyway, the next morning, Jon Voight wakes up. He gets his bow and arrow. He goes to hunt a deer, but when the time comes to actually shoot the deer, his hands are shaky and he can't do it.
Yeah, he gets like murder stage fright.
I
Yeah.
thought it was withdrawal. I think he's got some sort of habit that he did not take care of that morning.
He's trying to kick that black tar heroin, and he's just like, didn't get his fix this morning, so he can't operate as normal.
All these needles are just pine needles.
Surrounded by all these needles and can't get a fix.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is the energy I wanted for this episode. Right this moment here.
It is 11:08 p.m.
Hey, we're going to get you out of here before 1 a.m. so you can go to Taco Bell.
That is what my plan was. Because Mikey didn't send me his audio for the commercial that has to go into the Romance in the Pod episode on Thursday, so I'm going to have him send me that and then edit it tonight so I can upload it for review.
Oops.
High-roaded, Mikey. High-roaded.
Well, I take the low road with the canoes.
It looks like you're going to have to Postmates Taco Bell.
It's a good thing I did it in one take.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
There's 74 minutes of audio.
You have to, and it's just Mikey saying every word, but like not in a sentence. So I had to chop it together.
See, I'm just picturing Mikey doing a single take, just like Neutrogena for your
I know, right?
face and body. Yeah.
I love to sell feet pics online. So I needed nutrients to make my feet look really good.
What the fuck?
HelloFresh is really good at feeding your body to sell your feet pics.
Well, we got it in one take, Paige. Also, wrong podcast. It's supposed to be on Romance in the Pod, not Horror Virgin.
God. Anyway, so he comes back from not shooting a deer.
I think they should have had the name Goodbye Stale.
Oh my God.
HelloFresh. How does this turn into a marketing meeting for HelloFresh? Guys, if you look at the top-down funnel, and if we're looking at how to get more of our customers from our total addressable market into the funnel, yeah.
Their tagline should be Hello Fresh, Goodbye Stale.
Yeah, right?
Or goodbye hunger.
Do you want to use 17 bowls to make your own aioli sauce like I did last night?
Aioli?
Don't correct him. Just let him keep saying it wrong.
I had to grate ginger root, and I don't have a grater, so I just cut it up really finely, and I fucked it all up
Mikey, why do you not have a grater?
because I'm a lesser.
We have to move on. We absolutely have to move on. I refuse to let this recording go 3 fucking hours on Deliverance.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Okay, they go further down the river.
And that's the... Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, they switch up positions where Burt Reynolds and guitar guy at the party are together, and Jon Voight and the other guy that they, for most of this movie, have called Chubby, but his name is actually, I believe, Bobby
Chubby.
Chubby.
They do call him Chubby the whole movie.
Mr. Chubby was my father's name.
Anyway, they paddle a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of really pretty shots of them like canoeing down the river over rapid water.
Yeah, just scored with like Old Man River.
Yeah.
Or the banjo song. That comes back a lot.
They pull off from the side of the river to the shoulder of the river. The bank of the river.
The rest stop of the
Yes.
river.
Rest stop of the river. And they're just like, there's no Cheetos here. But so they get off and they're drinking out of the river. And Jon Voight looks up and sees what he thinks are people moving in the forest. And he calls Bobby over.
I mean, it is. He does see it.
Yeah, he does see it. And they pop out of nowhere and are just like, where you think you're going? And they're like, oh, we're going down the river to this place. And they're like, the river doesn't go there. And we find out it does. They were just being dicks.
Yeah, I think they were just lying. Like, I think the hillbillies were just lying because they knew they were going to fuck with them. I don't know that they knew it was going to escalate to where it escalated to at the very beginning, but they knew they were going to at least scare them or whatever.
Yeah, and if at this point, John Voight is like, look, I don't care what you're doing in the forest. If you have a whiskey still, like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
We're just going down the river. So we're going to go back and go down the river and be out of your hair. And they're like, nope. It's time for terrifying sexual assault. So they belt John Voight to a tree with his own belt.
Yeah.
So moral of the story, don't wear belts. I'm just kidding. No.
You don't want to see what they do to the people who wear suspenders, Paige.
Oh.
If this is what they do to belt people, I really don't want to see it.
No.
They snap them right against them nips.
I don't think they could do worse. I think that would suspender my disbelief.
Anyway, while they have John Voight incapacitated, they force Bobby to undress at gunpoint and sexually assault him while asking him to squeal like a pig.
It's actually a very long, very uncomfortable scene. I did some research.
Oh, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
I read that the director did not yell cut until Burt Reynolds marched onto the scene, was like, you got to stop.
Oh,
because he wanted to go as long as the audience would be uncomfortable. And he's like, I thought that Burt would pretty much do it.
Interesting. I wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
No, it goes on for a long time. It's very uncomfortable.
It is.
Ooh, and it is hard to watch.
Yes.
And by that, I don't mean hard to watch because it's badly done. I mean, it's
graphic,
directed well, shot well, very well done, very graphic.
Yeah.
Even though they are not, they are cutting strategically, viewpoint wise, it does not help. It is still very graphic and very upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he stops squealing and starts just yelling in pain. It is very graphic and very, it's rough.
Terrible.
It is terrible. And the assaulter completes the assault and then comes over to John Voight, with the implication being that they are going to assault John Voight next, and they both have guns. So I think it is a reasonable expectation that they would kill them after.
I think so.
I think so. I would assume so. And then they pretty much assume that the guy with the gun who was holding it on the guy until the sexual was like, now John Voight, get on your knees. You're going to give me what I want.
Yeah.
Well, he says you got a purty mouth.
Yeah, you got a purty mouth. Get on your knees and pray, and I better like your prayers.
Yeah.
Is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the one of the origins of the phrase "you got a real pretty mouth," which has become famous. This whole scene becomes famous in pop culture, despite being horrifying. This is the thing the movie is known for. Really?
Oh, absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I have never seen this movie, and I knew about this scene. I mean, I didn't know how it played out, but I knew what was going to happen,
Yes. And Burt Reynolds, as John Voight is about to be assaulted, Burt Reynolds fires an arrow and gets the assaulter who assaulted Bobby through the heart. Like, that guy is just dead. Nothing they can do. He dies, over the course of a couple minutes, but ain't no saving him.
And the toothless guy who was gonna assault John Voight's character handed that guy, the actual assaulter, the gun.
Right.
So now the gun's like in play, and John Voight grabs it because the guy who was shot with the bow and arrow was the guy who was holding the gun, and that is no longer his main concern.
Yeah.
So John Voight easily grabs the gun from him, and then that's when the toothless guy fucks off out of there.
Yeah, he runs.
But dude, the guitar guy chases after him with the paddle.
Drew.
He was going after him, which I sort of liked. I was like, he was going to go to battle for his friends, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then he would have felt really guilty afterwards.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think in his mind, he was like, we need to end what's happening.
Yeah.
And get them to go away, but I don't want to kill anybody. But it's life and death at this point. You got to kill people. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a survival thing at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and what we end up with is easily 10 plus minutes of runtime, maybe closer to 15, of them debating what to do next.
Which is insane to me.
It's crazy, especially for something that I don't think is that morally gray.
Yeah.
It's not at all. And nor are they safe at this moment. That person could be going back to a camp close by to get more hillbilly folk to kill us all. We need to get our asses back in the canoe and down the river and to our cars as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Anyway, this debate consists of essentially everyone against Drew. And Drew's thinking of, we got to do the right thing. If the cops find us, this could follow us forever. We got to report it. And everyone else is just like, fuck the cops, let's bury it. Like what are we even, why are we having this debate? But that takes 15 minutes.
It's so much time.
It shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, basically the guitar player is like, I'm a philosopher. Let me lay down, Socrates' moral ethics.
Socrates, Paige. Palladius's famous student.
Not even Socrates. Socrates.
I did hear he was a real Socrates. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, everyone in ancient Greece was. Like, old news.
That's why all their buildings were white.
It's also why they have carvings of a lot of dicks. Like, I went to Pompeii, which I guess is ancient Rome, but there were dicks everywhere. You should go. Everyone should go to Pompeii.
Yeah, I hear the locals aren't super nice.
Yeah, they're dicks. Paige just said it.
I love when Mikey spells out my jokes.
Anyway, they decide they're going to bury him and run to the boats.
But they hand dig a very shallow grave for him.
Yeah, they do the least thorough burying ever.
Which, honestly, why do it at all? I mean, we've talked about this. This whole conflict doesn't make any sense to me.
Here was my thinking. It's the 70s, right? Good luck getting DNA on any of that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck getting usable fingerprints.
Exactly.
Right.
It is in the wild, in a place where there are definitely predators. Leave the body where it lies.
Yeah.
Would you have taken the arrow?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the most I would have done.
Yeah.
I would have taken the arrow and maybe shoved a stick in there.
Because what's his friend going to do? Go to the cops and be like, oh, we raped this group and they killed my friend.
Yeah, well, they probably wouldn't mention the rape, but they're probably just gonna they killed my friend and conveniently for no reason.
Yeah, we were out hunting
Right.
and they shot him with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, I'd have been like, oh, I thought he was a deer. Sorry, he wasn't wearing orange. Call me Dick Cheney, you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I would have taken the arrow because that's the only evidence, and I would have left it there. And you know what? Any of the animals would have started feeding on that one wound. Good luck finding out how he died.
Exactly.
If you got to him in time and had the medical examiner who knew what happened, the idea that they would be able to trace it back to them is so slim to none.
Yeah.
In fact, in trying to bury him and in Drew's death, they actually create more evidence.
Yes, they do.
Than they needed to. If Drew had just gone along with it and they had just walked away, they were probably in the clear as long as Drew didn't jump out of the boat.
But also, self-defense. That was not a good situation. I would have walked out of those woods and been like, those guys tried to kill us. I killed them.
Yeah, I killed one of them. Yeah.
Or a few of them. Whatever. They all look the same to me.
Well, I mean, to this point, they've only killed one person.
They've only killed the one person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they bury him and then they run to the boats because, again, they don't know who's still in the woods. They don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
As they hop in the boats, they're all like, hey, Drew, put your life vest on. And he won't. And he's just 1,000-mile stare.
Yeah.
And as they hit the rapids, he just jumps into the river. Just done.
Head first, swan dives.
Yes, which causes the boat to turn. It causes them to crash. As Burt Reynolds' boat tries to help, they crash. They ride down the rapids.
Well, Burt Reynolds' boat allegedly was shot at during this scene.
It wasn't. We don't hear a shot. Nobody gets shot.
we don't. And he says that Drew was shot. But we'll find out that that's probably not the case
It's
either.
not. We see his body. They do look. There is no shot.
But
Yeah.
I've pulled this when I'm outside doing stuff. If I'm with a group of friends or whatever, kayaking, I'm like, oh, someone shot me. I definitely didn't fall out of this boat on purpose.
Quick, rub some Neutrogena on it. Anyway, he falls out. They all end up washed out to this gorge,
Yeah.
and they can't find his body. Also, Burt Reynolds has an urgent case of chicken cutlet on his leg.
It does not look like what they want it to look like, which is, I guess, bone coming through his
Yeah, like a compound fracture.
Yeah, I read the thing, and they're like, it's a femur break, and I was like, it looks like his leg fat leaked out, but
yeah.
I'd have been like, look, it's free lipo.
I just got one real skinny leg now. This leg does Ozempic.
He runs with a slight curve to the left.
Yeah, one leg does cardio. The other only does weights.
He runs in circles.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get him up onto a ledge And at this point, they believe someone has shot at them because he told them so. And they think that there's somebody up on the ridge.
They say the wound looks like he's been shot. I mean, he definitely has stuff coming out of his leg.
I don't think he got shot. I think he broke his leg on the rocks. Like, that makes the most sense to me. Because I thought he was saying Drew got shot.
He was.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jon Voight decides he's going to climb this cliff to get to the guy that's shooting at them. Which, if you're the guy on the cliff, just walk over, shoot down, problem solved. That's why I thought it maybe wasn't the same guy.
I mean, I don't know. I think it is the same guy, Paige.
It's the same guy.
You think so?
I was shocked when they climbed up and someone was there. Because at this point, I had rewound it to see if someone actually did shoot at him. And like, I was like, oh no, they're just like sort of gaslighting each other because they don't want to admit to themselves that their friend killed himself. On their canoe trip, which is fully what happened. Like, he did just kill himself.
My headcanon was there was no one up there. No one got shot at, right?
Right.
That he just killed himself. And so when they climbed up and there was someone up there, that is not one of the people they encountered earlier. It's a completely innocent party. And when they find Drew's body and realize it hasn't been shot, there's a question of who the fuck did I shoot? Up there, you know?
I mean, that would be a good movie.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he does, for like 20 minutes of this movie, he is climbing that cliff.
Yeah. And then when he gets almost to the top and he's like barely hanging on to the top precipice, he pulls out his wallet to take a look at his kids while hanging on the side of a damn mountain.
Yep.
He's like, this is awful. You know what this reminds me of? My wife. Let's take a picture out of my pocket.
That bitch never putting on her life jacket.
I feel like I'm being dragged down by a ball and chain, like my wife here in my pocket.
The other part of this too, he gets to the top and he waits till morning. So it's overnight. And like, if the guy with the gun is the same people, right? Let's say it is. Why did he come back to find them? I would have assumed they were dead and down the river by then.
Oh, I think he wanted revenge.
He's not a great guy either. He's not smart.
No, I get that. Like, I understand why someone from that group would come find them. I would just have assumed that they were already dead at this point.
You would have assumed the people who were canoeing down the river were already dead?
Yeah, potentially, because we've got the busted up boat that's further up the river that he would have had to pass to get to where they are now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, he gets up there. There's a guy up there. And the guy does pull a gun on him. And he's clearly a man, not an animal. So, like, something's going on. That
guy is definitely trying to kill Jon Voight.
Yes, yeah. And so he fires. And we don't see that he hits him. This whole arrow thing is a little weird.
It was so confusing. I thought he shot himself.
I thought so too, but I think he falls on his bow
He
is
does.
what happens.
Yeah, and then it's one of the spares that's like just stuck to the bow.
Right.
You know, it's sort of like a clip for a gun, right?
Right.
Except one of those arrows goes through his own side. But we see the other guy sort of walking towards him and we don't really see him clearly. So it doesn't reveal that he's shot until we think he's about to shoot Jon Voight. It was actually sort of a cool exchange.
Yeah, because he gets like right over Jon Voight and Jon Voight's got a knife and then he collapses because he got shot. And because I didn't fully understand how he shot him while he also had the arrow in his side, I was like, did Burt Reynolds climb the cliff with a splinted leg?
That is so fucking funny.
What I don't understand is why he lowers the body from the cliff. Leave it as it lies,
I
sir.
don't understand that either.
I don't know why they don't just leave every body they find.
Exactly.
I would. I'd be like,
leave
if
it
we make
where
it out
it
alive,
is.
we'll deal with it.
I do sort of understand why they get their friend's body out. That is their friend.
Sure.
They came with him. It's like soldier rules, right? You leave no man behind.
But then they leave him behind.
I know. It's crazy.
Anyway, so he lowers the body down. I don't know fucking why. He uses it as a weight so he can kind of climb down, but he didn't need to. The rope snaps. He gets the body to Bobby, and he asks him about Lewis, who's Burt Reynolds. He's like, he had a bad night. I thought he almost died, which you could from infection, shock, any number of things.
Yeah, that chicken cutlet's coming through the wetsuit.
You get salmonella from that shit.
Exactly.
But so they load up the canoe, and as they move back down the river, they find Drew, who has gotten stuck on some rocks further down.
Yeah.
And they can't find bullets. And at this point, I was like, so did they kill the guy on the ridge for no reason, other than the fact that he pulled a gun on him, or whatever? And they're like, I don't know. So they drag him with them.
Yeah.
But then in calmer water, they tie a rock to him and basically leave his body at the bottom of the river. But I would posit that if they took his body with them, they would be like, there's a tragic accident. Our friend fell out of the boat. We brought his body because we want them to have a burial or whatever. You know, you might find our broken canoe. This is all that's left of us.
Right. That would explain it right there. And they probably would not go looking for a murder, right?
Right. They wouldn't go looking for anything else. But instead, they leave his body in the river. They paddle through rapids. Burt Reynolds is screaming as they go over each rapid. And we'll talk about that in fun facts.
I would love to talk about this right now, though, for 1 second, because it's so clear in the wide shots of Jon Voight and Ned Beatty going through the rapids that it is just the two of them. There is no Burt Reynolds in those shots. It's so clear. And then cut in like overhead shots that they clearly did like in a pool with like people splashing water or whatever.
So they actually didn't. They did almost everything on the river.
Well, no, I'm sure they did. But those overhead shots definitely were in a much calmer area.
Yes, a calmer part of the river for sure.
Yeah. I read this about this film too, is that they did a shot with like a dummy in the kayak going over a waterfall.
Don't let me do it in fun facts.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because that's what I have, but that is why he is not in the canoe at this point.
So funny.
Yeah.
Should we just burn it? Let's burn it.
Yeah.
He broke his coccyx.
I was gonna say they did a scene with it's just a dummy, and then Burt Reynolds is like, "That looks fake. Put me in. I want to do it."
And that's how he broke his coccyx.
He breaks his tailbone, gets out. He also loses consciousness.
Yes.
Gains consciousness and asks the director, "How did it look?" And he goes, "It looks like a dummy that went over the waterfall."
Yeah. But that meant that like he receives treatment and stuff, but that means he has to finish the movie with a broken tailbone.
I mean, he's barely in the rest of this movie. So, I mean, if they shot it chronologically, they'd be fine.
Okay, but also, did you notice they did shoot it chronologically? But
I figured.
Did you also notice he's on his back in pain and then he shifts to his stomach? Yeah, it's so he didn't lie on his tailbone.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. There is also Ned Beatty at one point gets sucked into a whirlpool and the crew has to rescue him and it takes 30 seconds underwater and he thought he was going to die.
Oh my God.
But he survives. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Here's the worst part, and I'll burn because they all kind of go together. Because they were not going to use any stuntmen and they were going to do it all live, they could not insure anyone on the film.
And they didn't.
Oh, Jesus.
The film had no insurance and they did it anyway, which today would not happen.
It would never happen. No.
It would never happen. Anyway, they finally get to the calmer part of the river that's like this little kind of lakey part.
Yeah.
And they keep paddling. They eventually get to the city where they're supposed to end up, and lo and behold, their cars are there. The most unlikely thing to happen in this movie is that they just drove their cars there and left them there.
I have to back up a little bit because there's a shot where they get down to the calmer, like, area of the river, and there's like that old car that's like right up on the river or whatever. And they're like, "We did it. We're done. We made it." And then they canoe again for like what seems like 5 hours.
Yes. I think this was a chance for them before they got back to solidify their story. And that's mostly what happens here.
I agree. But they're saying, we're done. We got here. We're here.
Yeah, and you're not
done.
And
then they canoe for 5 more hours to where they then get out to walk to their car.
Right.
It's insane.
But they do get out. They get to a phone. They get an ambulance. They get to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I do like that one of the nurses is like, how you shoot yourself with your own arrow. I don't even see how it's possible. But Jon Voight gets patched up. He goes to dinner. Burt Reynolds is still unconscious because they might have to take his leg as a souvenir. They get to dinner and they're eating like peas and creamed corn. And my favorite part of this scene, because Jon Voight just ends up crying over the corn, but my favorite part of this scene is just the random old lady being like, "No, really, it was 12 and a half inches long, a whole cucumber."
Oh, you mean the real size queen at the table? We get it, Grandma. You like them big.
If you don't believe me, come on over. I'll show you.
10 and a half inches around.
Yeah, 10 and a half inches around. That's a watermelon.
I know. I was like, lady, that's not a cucumber. That's my dick.
You're ripping ass and apple carts.
You'll never pee regular again.
And that's a guarantee.
You're going to like the way you pee. I guarantee it.
You're going to like peeing when you laugh. I guarantee it.
Anyway, the cops are sniffing around and they're just like, what did you say happened? Because we found this broken canoe. And also this one random guy that we let come on the investigation with us is screaming about his brother-in-law.
Well, his brother-in-law is missing, although it does seem like his brother-in-law is also a bad dude. So
Yeah.
They're lying. They're lying. I'm like, whatever.
that is what it sounds like, yes.
It's very clear because he says his brother-in-law went out hunting. It's very clear that his brother-in-law was the one they shot on the ridge.
Yes.
So, oops. Anyway, but also, yes, it is implied that he might be a bad dude. Anyway, they managed to kind of shake off the cops by just not giving them enough details and being like, oh, we've been through a lot. We don't remember where the bodies were or whatever.
Yeah.
And the police just let them go. Like, they go and visit Burt Reynolds, who's just like, oh, yeah, what story? Wink. Like, I got you guys.
He's like, I don't remember anything.
But within earshot of a cop. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the cop was there, like, waiting to question him, I think.
The cop is standing in the doorway, and John Voight's like, we got to get our story straight. I'm like, bro,
Yes.
this is not a good time for that.
But it is so obvious. Like, the cop then just immediately went back to his chief and was like, yeah, so, like, John Voight came in and said, we got to get our story straight. And then Gator from the movie Gator said, yeah, I didn't see anything and I can't remember anything. And then he winked really suspiciously.
And the sheriff was like, wrap it up, boys.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it's definitely these two. We found our killers.
The town is also ending.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's like, we don't really want to deal with this right
Look,
now.
It's the season finale of this town, and we
Yeah.
got to wrap all this shit up before the
Yeah.
dragon lady gets here.
This is Twin Peaks season 2. Like, this is a wrap on the town, guys.
Yes. So the sheriff is just like, don't ever do nothing like this ever again. Don't come back here. And they're like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah,
Like,
we weren't
we're
planning on
never
ever
coming back
canoeing
here.
again or murdering some of your citizens. Like, never again.
Yeah, but they go their separate ways. And I do like Bobby being like, I probably won't see you for a while.
Yeah. He's like, maybe we shouldn't be friends.
Yeah. Mm-mm. And John Voight at one point goes through the little, like, a little river section and looks at them taking graves out to bury them elsewhere because the town's going to flood.
Yes.
And then he comes home to his wife where he has a nightmare about a body floating up out of the river. And he's like, no. And she's like, it's a dream. And he's like, all right.
I'll go back to sleep, honey.
It ends the same way most Phantasm movies do.
And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about Deliverance?
I do think it is beautifully shot. I just think there's too much of it.
Yeah.
I think it broke a lot of contests. What do you say?
It broke a lot of ground for horror, I think.
Broke a
Yeah.
lot of ground.
Mhm.
It was, it had some interesting questions. I don't think those questions hold up today because we have the internet. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. When they're yelling at each other, like, I don't know the law. I would have been Googling on my phone, like,
Murder question
Yeah.
mark? Yeah.
I'd have been like, they tried to kill Paige, so I killed 3 people. Is that wrong? And then you guys would have been like, no, let's get out of here. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Who's got a lighter? Let's do this right.
Yeah.
cut to 2 weeks later, Mikey and I are in a holding cell, and they're like, yeah, we went through your Google search history, and it seems like within 24 hours, you were reading an article on BuzzFeed about mosquito hacks, and
How
then
to
you
hide
Googled
body.
how to hide a body.
Okay, Casey Anthony.
I'd be like, I'd like an attorney, please. I'm not with Todd. I'd like to turn state's evidence.
He did kill him. I saw it.
No, I mean, I appreciate it for what it is in the timeline of movies.
Yeah. I do think that this movie walks so a lot of other movies could run.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a great movie today. Like, I get why a lot of people like it and have a lot of respect for it. I think I have no nostalgia connected to this movie. So watching it, I felt like I was watching every other 70s movie I've watched, where it's like the pacing is not great and like you really could have made it like a better cohesive film by doing a little bit better editing. But like that is the 70s, man. And so it's just like that time of movies I don't love.
And I do like the ambiguity of like Lewis being like, they shot us. And then he goes and shoots that guy. We don't really know if that was the real guy or not that he killed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, all we have to go on is that the other guy was missing his 2 front teeth, and the guy they killed had dentures that covered his 2 front teeth.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they aren't the only hillbillies with dental issues, you know?
Yeah,
like,
most of them got it.
Yeah, so like that could have been fully a different dude they murdered.
So the ambiguity is cool. I
Yeah,
mean, that does cause
sure.
a lot of issues. I just wish they would have leaned into the ambiguity a bit more and not the moral question of hide the body of that particular person. Like, if that happened, they ran and killed another guy, then they have a crisis of faith would have been really cool.
Yeah, like the last guy was self-defense. This one was murder. What do we do now? Like, yeah.
And spoiler, it is 2 different actors.
Okay, so it is a different person. Okay.
It's a different guy.
Yeah. All right. So, like, yeah, they did kill an innocent person then. Or, I mean, that guy was trying to kill him, though.
Yeah, well, and I think it might be a cousin, friend, whatever.
Sure. I mean, but that guy did try and kill John Voight. So John Voight, again, was acting in self-defense.
Yeah.
Cousin, friend, uncle, and sister's boyfriend, all the same person in this case.
Yeah. These are people Mikey refers to as like his family.
Yeah.
At least you're part of the family tree, Forks, Mikey. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Deliverance, fun facts. There's a lot of facts about this movie. It has been well documented production-wise, so we are only going to get to some of them.
Do it.
Feel free to look up more on your own.
Yeah.
So, the first scene that they shot in this movie was dueling banjos. The rest of the movie was shot in sequence, which is very, very rare, but I think part of that is because we see them get more and more hurt as we go, and it's a lot easier to do that in sequence.
Yeah.
Now, during Dueling Banjos, director Sir John Boorman, he is a sir, he says that the gas station attendant's jig during Dueling Banjos was unscripted and spontaneous, which is not very surprising because almost all of the extras in this movie are local residents that were cast as hill people. So they literally went to the place where this basically takes place and cast the locals. And that local guy just super loved, dancing, I guess.
Okay. I mean, he was feeling the Holy Spirit in that song.
I mean, it's Dueling Banjos. How could you not? But this movie marks a lot of kind of milestones. But one of the most notable ones is that this is what takes Burt Reynolds from being a TV star to being a movie star. Now, modern day, there's not as much of a difference between those two. Premium television is held in almost as high of a regard as movies these days.
Hell yeah.
But in the 70s, that was not the fucking case.
No, not at all.
And Burt Reynolds was offered another movie at the same time and turned it down to do this movie. Now, not only did he turn it down, but other people in the production didn't want him to have that part. He was up for the part of Michael Corleone in The Godfather.
Ooh, what?
Yes.
Wow.
But Marlon Brando allegedly had said that if Burt Reynolds is in my movie, I will quit. He said this because Burt Reynolds was a TV star. He thought that it delegitimized it, and a couple other things had happened. We'll talk about the Playboy thing in just a second. But he didn't think that he was a worthwhile actor. And this movie ends up kind of proving that a little bit for Burt Reynolds, especially because it gets nominated for an Oscar. Now, notably, it's one of the only films in Oscar history to be nominated for Best Picture, but not also be nominated in the writing categories.
Really?
So either Best Adapted or Best Original. It's very rare for that to happen.
Yeah.
Usually you end up in either, not this movie. And it is adapted from a book.
Yeah, I saw that in the opening credits. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the kid playing the banjo didn't know how to play a banjo, but they had to do it live. So another banjo player, a similar age, similar size, played the chords with his arm reaching around his side while he picked, much like the way that David Bowie did
the glass orb scene.
Yeah, the glass orbs.
Yeah.
No, musicians Eric Weisberg and Steve Mandel played on the soundtrack, but they did play it live in the moment. Or the actors played it live, and then the soundtrack version they cleaned up and had actual musicians play it.
Awesome.
So now, following the film, 2 things happen. Tourism does increase to that part of the country. To Rabun County is where it is. But the camping and canoeing industry almost goes bankrupt. So like people go, but they ain't canoeing. And it's this kind of weird thing where by 2012, tourism was the largest source of revenue in the county.
Yeah.
But just to kind of walk around and visit, where a lot of people did not camp and canoe.
I mean, it is very pretty. I get why you'd want to go and see those sites. Like, it's very pretty. But
Yeah.
after seeing this movie, like, this isn't a good, like, tourism board film
Right.
for come canoe our rivers, right?
Yeah.
It is really pretty though, and the canoeing looks fun.
Well, so here's the thing. It's almost kind of like Hostel, where it's like, come to Eastern Europe.
Right, yeah.
And then you see Hostel and you're like, no.
Come for the rivers, stay to murder the locals.
Stay to murder the locals. John Voight's stunt double for the film, a man named Claude Terry, purchased a lot of equipment used in the movie from Warner Brothers and founded the oldest whitewater rafting adventure company on the Chattooga River.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's called Southeastern Expeditions. And by 2012, rafting had become a huge industry. So, like, people didn't canoe, but then it ends up being a known rafting place.
Okay.
So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Most of the dialogue in the movie is taken verbatim from the source novel, which is interesting because it sounds very improv. It is not. It is from the novel.
Interesting.
Really? Okay. It does sound very improv. You're right.
It does. Now, prior to shooting the movie, Ned Beatty was the only one of the four main actors with any experience in a canoe. Additionally, Burt Reynolds had 2 weeks to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow, and by the end of 2 weeks was fucking great at it. Like,
That checks out. He's a good dude.
Like, that does not surprise me. I mean, he does seem
Right.
like one of the guys who could pick up that kind of shit very quickly.
yeah. And Todd, you probably noticed this. I know I did too, but John Voight's Climbing of the Cliff is a day for night shoot where
It
it's
is.
underexposed to the bluish tint,
Yeah.
added in post-production.
You could tell because his hair looks like it's almost on fire at one point. I'm like, oh, they tinted this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the author of the book, who also wrote the initial versions of the script for this movie, is a man named James Dickey. And he showed up drunk to the set and got into a fight with the director because
Hell
the
yes.
director had rewritten his script. And they had a full fist fight where John Borman's nose got broken and he shattered 4 of his teeth. James Dickey was thrown off the set, but they didn't file any charges. They later reconciled and became good friends. And he ends up giving James Dickey a cameo as the sheriff at the end of the film.
Wow.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I just learned is James Dickey is the Lewis of his friend group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. So now, remember we talked about Marlon Brando not wanting Burt Reynolds' movie.
Yes.
This movie, Deliverance, was actually in pre-production for a long time.
Oh.
And originally, John Voight's character was supposed to be played by Jack Nicholson, 70s Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
And he agreed to do it as long as Marlon Brando played Lewis. However,
Yeah,
their
okay.
combined fees would have been more than $1 million, which was half the movie's budget. So they had to cast cheaper actors, and that's how this happened. Now, they also went to Donald Sutherland, and he turned down the role of Ed
Okay.
because he objected to the violence in the script. But he has actually said later on that he regretted that decision because the film was so successful.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the camera work in this film, because while I do think it's paced rough, the camera work is beautiful and is done in a way that we rarely see these days.
Especially at this time, like the shots
Yes.
they're able to capture in like 1972, like we could of course do this now with like drones and it would be super,
Sure.
not easy, but it'd be way easier than what they went through, I'm sure.
Right. So John Borman hired a man named Vilmos Zsigmond as his director of photography because Vilmos Zsigmond had filmed the 1956 Soviet invasion of Hungary.
What?
So, yes. And he believed that anyone who had filmed under the threat of Russian tanks and guns
Yeah.
would be a cakewalk to film what is probably a grueling shoot, but, needed that level of camera work.
But it was probably felt like a vacation to the guy who just like got a bunch of footage from a war-torn country during a war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When they were looking for an actor to play the toothless hillbilly, Burt Reynolds suggested a man named Herbert Cowboy Howard, who had no front teeth, was allegedly illiterate, and had a very pronounced stutter, a speech impediment.
Okay.
But Burt Reynolds had previously worked with him in a Wild West show in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, and thought he'd be great for it. So that's how he gets this part in the movie.
Awesome.
Yes. Now, John Borman's gold record for dueling banjos, he gets a gold record for the soundtrack.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah, because, yes.
That's awesome.
It gets stolen from his house
Aw.
by a gangster named Martin Cahill, and he depicted the crime in his film about Martin Cahill, the general, in 1998. It was pretty fun. Now, as the Oscar campaign was happening for this movie, which, by the way, if you are not aware, movies don't just get randomly nominated for Oscars. The studios that make them campaign and put together packets to influence the the people within the Academy to vote for the movie. While that was happening, that's when Burt Reynolds' nude centerfold in Cosmopolitan magazine came out.
Heck yeah. Oh, so it wasn't Playgirl, it was Cosmopolitan. My bad.
It was Cosmopolitan.
Okay.
And Burt Reynolds has said that he believes this is one of the best movies he's ever been in, but he thinks that nude centerfold may have cost the film a Best Picture Oscar.
Oh.
I don't think it did. There were other things at the time that were also very good, and this is too.
Look, I've also been too hot to get accolades, so I understand.
Anyway, so as I mentioned, this is a book, or was a book originally, right?
Yeah.
So John Borman was not the first person attached to direct the adaptation. Sam Peckinpah was originally attached to the adaptation, but John Borman ends up securing the rights and getting permission from the studio first. So Sam Peckinpah goes on to direct Straw Dogs instead, which I don't think we have done, but it is a home invasion. I guess at the time they would call it a thriller, probably not horror, but that is another movie with a brutal sexual assault in it. So they're oddly enough kind of similar in some ways. Now, during filming, the rocks in the river destroyed 5 wooden canoes and 1 aluminum one.
Jeez. I mean, it's rough.
It's a rough river.
I would never canoe those rapids.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
That river scared the shit out of me.
I've done
yeah.
rivers here in town in canoes that are way less dangerous than that river, and I've destroyed canoes. Like, I've bent a metal canoe in half on one of these, like, podunk nothing rivers.
Yeah.
Like, bad shit can happen quickly.
Now, just 2 more quick ones. First of all, in the movie, Bobby is the only one whose occupation is revealed. He's an insurance salesman.
Yeah.
In the book, we find out that Ed is a graphic designer, Drew is a soft drink executive, and Lewis is a landlord.
Yeah, that checks out.
That does check out.
It does.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to see the remaining canoes used in this film, you can see them at the Burt Reynolds Museum at 100 North U.S. Highway 1 in Jupiter, Florida. One of them is signed by Ronnie Cox. And those are your fun facts.
Well, Paige, thank you for those fun facts. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Deliverance in 1972? And Paige, I know you already know because you've already said it, but I don't think Mikey was listening. So, Mikey, do you want to guess?
$700,000?
That's a good guess. It was actually $2 million.
Okay.
Now, if you adjust that for inflation, that's like $14.5 million today. So inflation being what it is, that's way more money than it sounds like, because remember, this is the 70s. Now, I don't have like a weekly breakdown of this movie because it was so long ago. It was obviously in theaters in 1972 and did well, as we mentioned before. But what do you think it made domestically at the box office in 1972? And this would be worldwide because it did not get an international release. Do you know, Paige, or do you have to recuse yourself?
I don't know.
I'm going to say $20 million.
Okay.
I would say for the time that's high. I'm going to go $9 million.
Okay. It did make money. You guys are right. But it made $46.1 million in 1972. So that works out to be, if you adjust for inflation, $335.5 million today. It made a lot of money. Let's just say that. It did very well. I mean, nominated for Best Picture up against The Godfather, Cabaret, and a few other good movies. I mean, The Godfather won that year, but still, that's pretty dope.
And hey, The Godfather is great.
Yeah.
like that's the thing. That's why I was like, look, I don't know if you not having the spread in Cosmo would have stopped The Godfather from winning.
It wouldn't, but I'm okay with Burt Reynolds thinking that.
Yeah.
That he was just like, God, I was so sexy that they couldn't give an Oscar to my movie that wasn't The Godfather.
I'm actually currently reading an article in Cosmopolitan about his conflicting feelings about the spread, but that spread is also part of the reason why Playgirl and things like it exist. So
He was a trailblazer, man.
I mean, Playgirl existed beforehand, but other versions like that come about after.
Fair enough. But that is your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, scary scale is a scale of 1 to 10 of how scary we found the film when we watched it today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Paige.
I'm going to give this a 2 because it does have some of that creeping dread, and if it was cut a little tighter, I think it would actually be a lot scarier.
Todd.
I'm going to give it a 3, but just for the scene alone. Man, that whole thing is
brutal.
So brutal, man. And very effectively shot to make it creepy and like just terrible. Just terrible.
I'm going to give it a 3 for the same reasons.
Yeah.
And that's our scary scale.
Well, this week, Mikey, you made us watch Deliverance for your Southern Slashers Bayou Bastards month? Question mark?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting the way you phrase it, but I like it every time you say it.
Yeah,
What
don't worry
movie are
about
you going to make us watch next week?
Well, do you guys want to stay on a river trip or do you want to like branch out a little bit?
Let's branch out.
Let's do Wrong Turn,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
which is a whole franchise we've never touched.
It is a franchise that we haven't touched that has a couple different ones in it.
It's got like 8 movies in it,
Really? They made 8 wrong turns?
which is 2 complete circles.
All right. Well, I guess your homework is to watch Wrong Turn. I guess it's the 2003 version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I'm looking one up currently.
Well, while you're looking one up currently, let me currently tell them how they can have their review currently run on the podcast. And that is to currently leave us a 5-star review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you currently about to read?
I'm going to read. Oh, there's a bunch of new ones. I'm going to read Editing and Loving It.
Oh, well, what does Editing and Loving It have to say?
This seems definitely not Todd. It says, love the repartee.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
This is just a joy to listen to.
Why, thank you.
As a horror fan, I love to hear the recaps and jokes and crazy side discussions that result.
Oh, man, we do go some weird places. Yeah.
The hosts have chemistry, great senses of humor, and honesty about what they do and don't like.
That's true.
This is a very spot on review. It's refreshing to hear smart, funny people talk about horror films.
That sounds like a diss to other podcasts. Sorry about that other podcast.
Yeah. An awesome combo. Keep it going as long as you can. 5 stars.
Well, Editing and Loving It, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. So, guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24 and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week. So just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. This episode was brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been like driving her crazy. So how is Tia's teenager driving her crazy this week?
She keeps getting into banjo duels with people who come around the house.
And honestly, it's fun for the first time. But like, if it's your 9th time hearing a banjo duel in like an hour, you're going to get sick of it. All right.
Yeah. Well, and also she's embarrassed Steve Martin like 3 different times.
He hates to be shown up. Well, this episode's also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan wants me to show you guys a video. So I'm going to steal your screens right now so I can do just that. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Here we go.
Well,
Mikey, how do you say this DJ's name we're listening to right now?
Asivizio.
But it's Avicii doing the Beatles and some other song. It's not bad. I don't hate it. I mean, I'm just vibing along to the music right now. It's pretty great. The drumming in this song is way better than Ringo Starr, though, so I'm sure they didn't use his drum track for this.
It's 2 dumb tracks over.
Yeah.
You can hear the original one, but then you can also hear the Avicii one.
Yeah. Well, that song sort of slapped. Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing that song with us. And thank you so much for sharing your support with us. We appreciate it. We now return you to another episode of The Patreonicals.
Okay, in fairy tale land here today,
Yeah.
Andrew, the golden retriever, brings magic beans to Kate, and she calls Allie over, and then they use her fin to dig a little hole, and they bury the beans.
She just pats the top of the like mound with her fin. She's like, thoo. Yeah. To help it grow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, with his laser eyes, digs a little moat around it, and Bo Easy has some of his Florida swamp water and feeds the beans. The beans grow into a giant beanstalk.
I think I see where this is going.
Yeah, don't you?
Yeah, to the cloud castle.
Yeah. But it isn't my fault. She was given those beans. She persuaded me to trade away my cow for beans.
It all comes back to Sondheim.
All of it.
And there's a big debate about who's going to go up the giant beanstalk. And Isaac, with his Black Knight armor, is like, I'm going to go.
Okay.
And Wes, the handsome dude, who is now taking on the personality of like a really bitchy Prince Charming, is like, no, I do not want to go.
Oh, I love that.
Agony.
That's legit my favorite Sondheim song, Paige.
It's so great.
It nails the brother relationship so well.
Yeah. She is skin white as snow. Did you learn her name? No, there's a dwarf standing guard. Agony.
One more painful than yours.
All right, cut it out. Cut it out with your bullshits.
Sorry.
Dreskel with his Iron Man suit also goes up. He's going to go up.
Nice. But he could just fly up. He didn't need no beanstalk.
Yeah. Alex, the evil magician, with his top hat, is also going to go up. Lauren, the cave person, hits the beanstalk with their club and was like, no, bro, not going up there.
No, we're flipping the script on this
Yeah.
classic fairy tale.
Mr. Rage Bomb is like, hey, I just found this magical Jay's pack that if we we open it up and pull out anything we need from it.
Oh my God. It's like a magical backpack.
Yeah, Jay's pack is a magical backpack.
I love this so much.
And Mr. Rage Bomb says, what do I'm just going to pull something out. And he pulls out Sexcalibur.
Oh, okay. So describe Sexcalibur.
A talking sword that only says filthy things.
Yes, and now he's king of the P word.
Is it a nation or is it just P words?
Well, he had to pull it out of a P word, and the person that can remove it gets the power.
Yeah, well, they're going to make the Knights of the Mound Table.
It's just like a table that's like a mound with a nipple. It's a boob.
No, he meant pubic mound, I think.
Oh, that makes more sense, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going for there.
I've had sex.
And Excalibur says, giant dicks. And he's like,
Mikey, like, doing the calculus on what a perverted sword would say was hilarious right there.
stick me in something.
No. You got to go all dipsy with it. Be like, I knew it was you. I could breathe on the back of your neck. Like full, like romance novel.
My God, no, it's not a romantic. It's a male sword, so it's not romantic.
No, it's got to be like when you pull it out and it's like, don't pull me out unless you plan to use me. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I sent you hilt. Please respond.
Yeah. And he's like, we're going up the beanstalk. And they're like, fuck it. Yeah, let's go.
All right.
And a little note comes down. It says, help, I am a maiden in distress.
Why did you say that like you were reading it from like a character sheet?
Maybe I have character sheet.
And I have +2 vitality.
And it's like, please rescue me from up here. I'm a maiden in distress. My name is Vixen Avery.
Okay. All right.
Ooh.
I like where this is going.
My brothers Dancer and Prancer left me here.
Oh, dear.
Captain Bruder punches Mr. Rage Bomb in the face and is like, give me Jay's pack because you have all the cool shit and I don't have a ship anymore, so I'm not even a captain, so give me that backpack. So he's got Jay's pack now.
Okay.
Jennifer with the force fields was like, I'll put some force fields around the beanstalk so if you guys fall off, it'll be fine. Anthony was like, fuck it, I'll go too. I don't really have anything special about me right now, so I'm going to go. And Sunzi, who is a Tin Man, says, I would climb up, but you got to grease the wheels, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, shut the fuck up. We don't want any Tin Man fun. And Natasha and Karun are still having sex in the background of the episode. It's very
Good
disgusting.
Lord. Yeah,
I know.
They're the fairy smut portion of the Patreonicals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Garotica, the heavy metal bitch, is like, fuck it, I'll go up there too. But then she's like, Vance the serial killer is like, I'll also go up because I can kill some stuff. I haven't killed things in a couple episodes. And they're like, I don't know about that. And then Libby and Aaron, who are no longer, they're like, we want to go up because we don't want to be Mun people anymore. We need to find a way out. And so they all head up the fucking beanstalk, and that's it till next episode.
I guess we'll have to wait till next week to find out what's at the top of the beanstalk. I'm thinking of Golden Goose on another episode of the Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah.
Have an amazing week.
Bye.
Bye.
Nerds.